Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be taking a look at the 70mm 4K Omni, or also known as the X800 2-channel dash camera. This is an upgraded camera from the X200 model that was previously released by 70mm. It has a 4K front image sensor and a 1K image sensor in the rear, both using Sony Starvis 2 image sensors. So, let's get into it. This video contains several video chapters. If there's one of particular interest to you, jump to the time index listed on the screen here, or expand the video description section and click on the link down there. Hope you enjoy the video. First off, I would like to thank 70mm for sending me the 4K Omni 2-channel dash camera and the UP05 4G LTE enabled hardwiring kit free of charge for this review. I'm allowed to say whatever I want in this review, but I do want to acknowledge the fact I did receive this product free of charge. Now let's take a look at the items in the box. First off is the front camera, which has a unique pill-shaped design. The rear side, you can see at the top a microphone hole at the very top. Just below that, the display screen. There's an indicator light ring just below that, which has various colors depending on what's taking place with the camera. And below that is the speaker. On the right side, you can see the windshield mount, which has an adhesive pad, which will be adhered to either to the electrostatic stickers provided or to the windshield glass directly. And there's an adjustable hinge below that. Just below that are the ventilation holes for the front side of the camera. And below that is the rotating gimbal, which has the front camera and lens in it, and the 4K ultra high definition Sony Starvis 2 IMX678 image sensor with a field of view or angle of view of 146 degrees and an f-stop of 1.7. It will operate at 3840 by 2160 resolution, 30 frames per second with HDR enabled in 1-channel or 2-channel mode. And if you're wanting to get 60 frames per second, you can only operate it in 1-channel mode, meaning the rear camera will not be connected, and that is with HDR disabled. Now let's take a look at the sides of the front camera. On the left side, you can see there is a power button and an up-down navigation button, which you can use to navigate through the settings and change settings using the rear screen. On the lower section, of course, you can see the left side of the rotating gimbal. And on the right side, you can see the windshield mount area has 2 connection ports, one for the rear camera, or as it's known as the extended camera in the documentation. And the USB-C port is for data and power. It will be used for data when connected to the LTE-enabled UP04 or UP05 hardwiring kit. You can power it in 4 different manners, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. The 4K Omni has an external memory card slot, whereas the X200, the previous version of the Omni camera, had an internal drive only, but you can use up to a 512 gigabyte memory card in this memory card slot. And of course, we have the right side of the rotating gimbal here on the right side. Looking at the top side, you can see there is an adhesive pad that has the protective cover over it, which you remove to adhere it to the electrostatic sticker that you put on the window glass, or you can adhere it directly to the window glass. On the right side, you can see the ventilation holes that are on the very bottom side of the front camera gimbal. In these side-by-side pictures, you can see the full range of motion for the front camera mount hinge, which allows you to get it to a near vertical position for commercial vehicles that have a near vertical windshield. So you should be able to adjust the front camera to the appropriate angle for your vehicle. Taking a look at the additional items in the box with the front camera, you have the USB power cable, which is 3.5 meters in length or 11.48 feet. And that is used together with the power port adapter that's shown just below that. To the right of the power cable, you have the trim tool, which you can use to route the cables through your vehicle. On the lower left, you have the spare adhesive pads that are included with the product. In case you remove the camera from your vehicle and you need to replace them, you have a spare pad for the rear and front cameras. The upper right is the rear camera cable. This cable plugs directly into the front camera and then terminates at the rear, where it plugs into the mini connector that's on the rear camera cable. So together, the front camera portion of the cable is 5.5 meters or 18.04 feet, and then the rear camera short stubby cable is 0.45 meters or 1.48 feet. And of course, that is the rear camera with the Sony Starvis 2 IMX662 image sensor for 1080p footage. In the lower center, we have the 70mm memory card that was included in the bundle that I have, but make sure that you have a bundle that includes one, or you might need to purchase one separately. Again, it supports up to 512 gigabytes as far as storage capacity for micro SD cards. And then on the right, you have two electrostatic stickers for the rear and the front cameras in case you would like to use those to install the rear and front cameras in your vehicle. Here are the manuals included in the box. You have, of course, the 4K Omni Series user manual. In the upper right, you can see the customer service card, and the lower right is the rear camera specific RC14 rear camera user manual. For my testing purposes in this review, 7UMI did provide to me a MyDrive UP05 4G LTE enabled hardwiring kit, which allows me to take advantage of all the Sentinel or parking mode features of this dash camera. Here are the items included in the box with the MyDrive UP05 hardwire kit. The SIM card tool, which is used to extract the tray that the SIM card resides on in the unit, the customer service card, the user manual. In the upper center, you can see the USB-C power data cable, which has a length of 2.0 meters or 6.56 feet. So that means that the unit that you see in the lower center must be located within that distance of the front dash camera. And on the right, you can see the 12 and 24 volt power cable, which has a length of 2.1 meters or 6.90 feet. And that must be long enough, or you have to extend the wires depending on the availability of power from either a dashcam battery pack or the fuse box within the vehicle that you're sourcing the power. And you must have a constant power, an accessory power, which is switch power, which turns on and off with the vehicle ignition, and a grounding location. And in this picture, you can see the bottom side of the UP05, which has an adhesive pad you can use to adhere it to a location in your vehicle, and the sides of the UP05 as well. I do have a separate video discussing the installation of the 4K Omni dash camera, as well as discussing the power options and how to configure them. So you might want to check that out in the video description section to get more information on that topic. If the front camera picks up a lot of reflections or glare from the front windshield, you may wish to take advantage of the circular polarizing lens filter. In that hardware installation video that I mentioned before, I give you some steps on how to install it and properly align it and take advantage of that feature for your front dash camera. If you only require the dash camera to record while you're driving, you can take advantage of the CC02 power adapter that's supplied in the box with the dash camera to power the camera while you're driving the vehicle. You would plug in the CC02 into a 12 volt or 24 volt power port that is only powered while the vehicle's ignition is on and engine is running, and turns off when the engine is turned off and the ignition is switched off. You can use the included USB-A to USB Type-C cable to supply the power to the dash camera. If the CC02 has been plugged into a power port or cigarette lighter adapter port in your vehicle that has the power remaining on after the vehicle ignition has been turned off, you will want to look in the system settings section for a setting called Auto Off After Stop. This setting is only viable when the CC02 is powering the dash camera, and what it will do is turn off the dash camera after a fixed number of minutes with the vehicle being stationary. So if it's been parked for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, you will then power down the dash camera so it doesn't drain your vehicle battery. That's because the CC02 does not have a low voltage cutoff feature. So if you have one that turns off automatically when you turn off the ignition, then you don't need to take advantage of this. But if it has power remaining on when the vehicle ignition is turned off, take a look at this setting. In this section, I'll cover the features of the 7UMI 4K Omni 2-channel dash camera. First one is that the front and rear cameras are both using the Sony Starvis 2 image sensors. The front camera is using a Sony Starvis 2 IMX678. The lens has a field of view of 146 degrees with an f-stop of 1.7. The rear camera uses a Sony Starvis 2 IMX662 image sensor. The lens has a field of view of 130 degrees with an f-stop of 1.55. The front camera may be configured to record at a 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, but that is only available when the camera is configured as a one-channel dash camera. If you use the rear or extended camera with the front camera, it will not record at 60 frames per second. The 4K Omni includes a built-in GPS receiver. This allows it to track the vehicle speed, precise coordinates, and update the real-time clock that's in the 4K Omni with the time from the GPS signal if you configure it that way. The 4K Omni 2-channel dash camera provides HDR support or high dynamic range support for both the front and rear cameras. It allows you to capture plates and other objects of interest with various lighting conditions, and it gives you the best opportunity to capture plates at night. When you're operating the 4K Omni as a single channel dash camera, you have two resolution settings for the front camera. One is at 60 frames per second and one at 30 frames per second. HDR will only be enabled when the 30 frames per second resolution setting has been selected. The 4K Omni internally uses a supercapacitor to power the dash camera rather than a lithium battery like the previous generation Omni dash camera. It is safer for hotter and colder environments, and it can withstand more charging and discharging cycles than a battery could as well. The 4K Omni dash camera provides a super sensing ADAS or advanced driver assistance system, which provides audio alerts to you to let you know when situations are occurring that might be needing certain attention or help prevent accidents from occurring.
Vehicle ahead motion detected. Lane departure.
The 4K Omni dash camera supports memory cards up to 512 gigabytes in storage capacity, and for downloading video files from the dash camera to your phone, you can use 5 gigahertz or 2.4 gigahertz or a Wi-Fi 6 connection, which is supposed to support up to 20 megabytes per second for download speed. In my test here, I downloaded a front camera video file of 254 megabytes. It took 21 seconds, which was a 12.11 megabyte per second transfer speed. The 4K Omni dash camera also includes the 70mm Lumi Vision feature for parking mode. It records clearer footage in near total darkness. Now this is an example on the right in a local shopping mall parking lot with overhead lighting. And it's also an example of the dual channel time-lapse recording at 1 frame per second for both the front and rear cameras. Another available parking mode for the 4K Omni is the AI motion detection parking mode using the AI motion detection 2.0 feature. I was originally recording in time-lapse parking mode here, and then once it detected me, it started following me with the front camera. The detection logic only uses the front camera for this, but it does record video and audio for both the front and rear cameras for 30 seconds once a suspicious person has been detected. And if you have the 4G LTE hardware kits powering the dash camera, push notifications will be sent to your phone. I have examples of this feature later in the video to check it out. Make sure you check out that section in this video. The third parking mode available for the 4K Omni is collision detection, in addition to the motion detection and time-lapse. This detects an impact event. When that is detected, it will record a 30-second video at 15 frames per second, and you can set the sensitivity to the impact events and how soon after the ignition is turned off through the start after flameout, which the terminology will be changed shortly. And this new feature of surround scan was added with that latest firmware release, where you can see it's panning around the front of the vehicle looking for what's possibly caused the impact event. The 4K Omni dash camera has an upgraded buffered emergency recording feature. You can use the voice control command of record video to trigger this, or if an impact event takes place based on the sensitivity setting in the camera settings, it will record a video of at least 30 seconds after the impact and potentially up to 3 minutes before the impact. I have not had an impact event occur while driving, but I do have one from in my office where it recorded 24 seconds before the impact event and the 30 seconds after the impact event. The 4K Omni also has Max the Bear showing various status updates on the screen for the 4K Omni dash camera, and on the right side you can use voice commands to control various operations of the dash camera. I have a detailed setup and configuration video where I go through the demonstration of those various voice commands. The 4K Omni includes the 70mm Night Owl Vision feature, which is reported to give clearer nighttime images with less noise, balanced exposure, and improved glare control. The footage on the right is from a recent drive with my vehicle. I removed the CPL filter from the front camera, and there is no CPL filter available for the rear camera. So that's an example of some nighttime footage with this feature. To expand the feature set of the 70mm 4K Omni dash camera, you can use one of the two hardwiring kits on the screen, the UP04, which is officially listed for Australia and South Korea, and it will work in other areas of the world. And then the UP05, which is on the lower right, which is stated as only working in the United States. Those provide 4G LTE connectivity to give you app live streaming, so you can view the cameras on your vehicle remotely. With the camera being connected to the cloud over the 4G LTE connection, you can receive instant app alerts when interesting events take place, such as suspicious persons in motion detection parking mode, collision events, And when the videos from those particular events have been uploaded to the cloud, you can use the Find My Car feature, since it will be able to let you know where your vehicle is real time and live route tracking where you've driven that day. With connectivity to the cloud, the battery voltage that's powering the UP04 or UP05 can be tracked, so you can see what the battery voltage is in your vehicle's battery or your dashcam battery pack. This section of the video contains power consumption test result data that I gathered for the 70mm 4K Omni dash camera in a 2-channel, single channel, and also being powered by different power options such as the UP05 in this particular case, which is the 4G LTE hardware kit for the United States. Then I have that same information using the UP05 but in a 1-channel configuration. And then I end up with a chart for the 70mm 4K Omni 2-channel configuration, but being powered by the UP03, which is not the LTE-enabled version of the hardware kit. So if you're just using its standard parking mode operations without LTE connectivity, that chart would interest you. I mainly gather this information for the Sentinel mode or parking mode data, so I can then project parking mode time estimates for the various modes of operation in the various parking modes. Using the average watt values that I calculated in the previous 3 spreadsheets, I bring those over to these 3 charts to give time estimates for 2 different battery pack capacities of 76.8 watt hours and then 96 watt hours. This is assuming that the full battery pack capacity is available. To take advantage of the largest amount of the battery pack capacity that you're using to power the dash camera, you'll want to look at a couple of settings within the dash camera. First one is the vehicle battery protection feature, which has a protective voltage threshold setting. It defaults to 12.0 or 24.0 volts when you're powering it with a UP05 or UP04 4G LTE hardware kit. You'll want to set that to 11.8 volts to take advantage of the most capacity from the battery pack. And with the UP03, it is already set to a fixed value. There is no configuration available within the settings of the dash camera. The second setting I'll call your attention to is in the Sentinel mode section of the dash camera settings, and is called duration. By default, this is set to 24 hours, meaning the Sentinel mode or parking mode will run for up to 24 hours and then the dash camera will power down. If you're using a dash cam battery pack to power your dash camera, and you want to take full advantage of the full capacity of the dash camera battery pack, you may wish to set this to unlimited. It's again based on your particular parking mode needs, but I just want to call your attention to the setting so you're aware of it. You'll notice on the UP03 hardware kit chart at the very bottom I have an entry for time lapse plus collision detection plus motion detection. I wanted to see what the total power consumption was when all 3 parking modes were enabled. So basically this is with the dash camera waiting for an impact event, waiting for a motion event, and while it's recording time-lapse video. And the power consumption is roughly equal to the collision detection while it's processing an impact event, or the motion detection with no motion being detected. So it's roughly at that same level. So it's higher than a collision detection with no impact, and it's slightly higher than time-lapse by itself. So if you would like to enable all 3 of them to have collision detection, motion detection using the artificial intelligence for suspicious persons, and time-lapse, you can do so, or any combination thereof. In this section, I'll be showing you some Sentinel mode or parking mode footage, depending on your terminology, using the motion detection parking mode. And it uses AI logic in the camera to determine when a suspicious person is walking around the front of the vehicle. If you're running this in a 2-channel configuration, it does not use the rear camera for this AI logic detection. There are 3 settings related to the motion detection Sentinel mode. First one is whether it's enabled or not, so there's a toggle switch for that in the app. There are 4 different settings for the sensitivity setting for the motion detection parking mode, and the default is medium. I have set it to high for this particular test example, and I found that even with high, there's some lag in it detecting people as far as moving in front of the vehicle. You'll have to test it for your particular vehicle and parking mode situations to see which one's appropriate for your vehicle. The Start After Flameout, as it's currently called in the app, is a feature which determines when motion detection AI logic will start working, whether it's immediately after it goes into parking mode, or if it waits for 5 minutes after the ignition is turned off before it starts processing events. 70mi has agreed that they will change the start after flameout for the English language to something more appropriate, like start after entering Sentinel mode, or something more meaningful instead of using the word flameout, which doesn't make much sense in this particular situation. I'm going to demonstrate some of the AI logic in the motion detection parking mode. I have the iPhone showing the notifications that come through the app through the LTE connection. I have the video that will show up from the actual motion detection parking event. And then I'll show you the stationary camera showing the movement of the front camera gimbal so you can see what takes place for this type of motion detection parking event. In this first section, I'll be moving from left to right in front of the front camera to see if I can trigger the AI logic as a suspicious person. After I've moved to the right side of the vehicle and moved across the entire field of view, it does seem to consider me a suspicious person in this particular case. And that buzzing sound that you hear is actually from the front camera gimbal motor moving the front camera to track me. A 30-second video will be created from the result of the AI logic detecting me as a suspicious person. Now that video is completed, it will send a push notification to my phone through the 70mi app, and it has notified me that a suspicious person has been detected. Now we'll begin uploading the front and rear video if there's a second channel rear camera connected. And it's picked me up again as a suspicious person, so it's recording another video. And again, the rear camera does not participate in the detection logic, but it will record a video and upload it as necessary. That was from a different camera in my vehicle, so that's why I noted here it's not from the 70mi dash camera. And we're just about at the end of this 30-second video. This is the second type of push notification related to the motion detection recordings, and that's letting me know that videos have been uploaded to the cloud. My movements from the right side to the left side of the vehicle have been detected by the 4K Omni, and now we have another motion detection recording taking place. And again, it is following me from the left side to the right side as I move across the field of view. And it continues to track me as I go out of range here behind the A pillar on the right side of the vehicle. I sped this segment up to show that when I move from right to left in front of the vehicle but not look at the camera, it doesn't seem to detect me as a suspicious person. As I move from left to right in front of the vehicle and look at the camera, it does pick me up as a suspicious person this time. And I do get a notification from the upload of a previous video as well. This concludes my demonstration of the 4K Omni motion detection parking mode. Thanks for watching the video to this point. I truly appreciate it. I decided to structure my review of the 70mi 4K Omni dash camera into several different videos. This is the main video showing what's in the box, the features, the power consumption information, and also a demonstration of the motion detection AI logic. I have several other videos showing the hardware installation in the vehicle, the setup and configuration information for the settings in the dash camera, and the configuration of the 4G LTE hardware kits, and also several other samples showing day and nighttime footage and comparing it against some other cameras. So those other videos will be in a playlist that I'll link in the video description section, so check that out, or an info card in the upper right hand corner of the video. And thanks for taking the time checking this out. If you decided that this is the dash camera for you, I will have affiliate purchase links down in the video description section. If you take advantage of those, I will make a small commission on that purchase, but at no extra cost to you. So thanks again for spending your time checking out this video. Check out the other videos about this product in that playlist, and thanks for coming to the channel. See you in the next one.